Vater im Himmel,
I want to thank you for this new day of life,
möchte dir für diesen neuen Tag des Lebens danken,
also for the weather outside,
auch für das Wetter draußen
and especially for our morning worship.
und ganz besonders hier für unsere Morgenandacht.
Father, please help us to understand your word through the Holy Spirit.
Und bitte, Vater, hilf uns, dass wir dein Wort durch deinen Heiligen Geist verstehen können.
And I'm asking also for your blessings upon this worship, upon the translation, the live stream.
Ich möchte auch um deinen Segen bitten auf diese Andacht, auf die Übersetzung und den Livestream.
Help please the people that are watching through the live stream.
Hilf bitte auch den Leuten, die über den Livestream zuschauen.
And help us to understand a little bit more this message.
Und hilf uns, dass wir ein wenig mehr von dieser Botschaft verstehen können.
In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesu Namen. Amen.
Okay, yesterday we were looking at this topic about Satan's kingdom.
Also gestern haben wir uns das Thema über Satans Königreich angeschaut.
Okay, and what I was trying to illustrate was that the people on this planet in this time that we have, this time of probation, are playing roles, let's say. They're playing... God says that He's using everybody for His glory.
Also letztendlich alle Leute auf der Erde, die spielen gewisse Rollen und Gott benutzt das alles für seine Ehre und Herrlichkeit.
For instance, the dragon, the beast, the false prophet, the east wind, they're all actors in a great play that's playing out before our eyes.
Und zum Beispiel der Drache, das Tier, der falsche Prophet oder der Ostwind, das sind alles in dem Sinne Schauspieler in diesem großen Schauspiel, das hier auf der Erde stattfindet.
But the only difference is that we choose which role we want to play.
Und letztendlich der einzige Unterschied ist jeweils, dass wir die Wahl treffen müssen, welche Rolle wir jeweils in der ganzen Sache spielen.
Okay, and what I'm trying to show is that those in Revelation 9 are illustrating a part of, or illustrating Satan's kingdom which we can't see.
Und ein Punkt, den ich machen möchte, ist, dass in Offenbarung Kapitel 9 die Leute, die da beschrieben sind, eine Rolle spielen von Satans Königreich, das wir an sich mit bloßem Auge so nicht sehen können.
Okay, so the east wind is a punishment upon Babylon.
Und das Ostwind ist eine Bestrafung über Babylon.
And Babylon is...
Der Ostwind.
Sorry?
Das ist
Babylon are all the people that have chosen to be part of Satan's kingdom.
Und Babylon sind all die Leute, die gewählt haben, Teil von Satans Königreich zu sein.
And therefore, you know, just go back, we went there, to go to Isaiah 19.
Und dann gehen wir zurück zu Jesaja 19, das haben wir uns gestern angeschaut.
And these things are pretty deep. It takes a lot of thinking to really comprehend it fully.
Diese Dinge, die sind wirklich tiefgehend und da brauchen wir wirklich viel Nachdenken, um das wirklich zu verstehen.
So, Isaiah 19 is marking the end of the controversy when Christ is coming.
Und Jesaja 19 markiert das Ende des großen Kampfes, wenn Christus kommt.
Okay, it says, "The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it." So, where do we see men's hearts melting?
Also Vers 1 gelesen, wo können wir sehen, dass das Menschenherz vergeht oder schmilzt?
Luke 21, right?
In Lukas 21.
So, in Luke 21, there's two times of trouble, right?
Und in Lukas 21 werden zwei Zeiten der Trübsal erwähnt.
Okay, and we know that the second time of trouble when men's hearts melts right here, right?
Und wir wissen, dass die zweite Zeit der Trübsal, wenn das Menschenherz zerschmilzt, ist hier.
What is this time of trouble a type of?
Und diese Zeit der Trübsal, was typifiziert sie?
Right, 7 last plagues, right?
Die 7 letzten Plagen.
When Christ throws down the censer and says it is finished, right? Or it is done.
Wenn Christus dort das Räucherfass niederwirft und sagt, es ist geschehen.
Because we know that the midnight cry marks the close of human probation and the 4 winds are loosed, right?
Denn wir wissen ja auch, dass der Mitternachtsruf das Ende der Gnadenzeit markiert und die 4 Winde werden gelöst.
So we also know that right here on the 5th day of the 4th month, that the Lord is revealing to us a vision of the wheels within the wheels.
Und wir verstehen, dass auch hier am 5. Tag des 4. Monats der Herr eine Vision uns offenbaren wird über die Räder in den Rädern.
And the wheels within the wheels are fractals, it's line upon line. It's the depth of all these repeating patterns and what it means, right?
Und die Räder in den Rädern sind letztendlich die Fraktale, diese Linien. Es ist die Tiefe all dieser Dinge, die wir da studieren.
So, Isaiah 19, verse 1 is being typified right here, right?
Und Jesaja 19, Vers 1 wird hier vorausgeschattet.
Right? So, it comes on a swift cloud and it says, we read, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Okay, so what is being demonstrated right there?
Das Vers 2 haben wir gelesen, was wird hier demonstriert?
No, I'm just asking. The verse 2, what is being demonstrated there?
Vers 2, was wird hier demonstriert?
So, no, think of it, the topic that we're discussing, right? It's all about, okay, the characters, because here, everything's manifested here, right?
Was wird hier manifestiert? Der Charakter.
Okay.
Richtig? Alles wird
So-
hier manifestiert.
Christ Object Lessons 412, what does it say this is?
Christi Gleichnisse 412, was sagt es? Was ist das hier?
A crisis, right?
Das ist eine Krise.
It's in a crisis that character is developed, right?
Es ist in einer Krise, dass Charakter entwickelt wird.
No, character is revealed there,
Es
right?
wird dort offenbart werden.
Okay, and the Lord is trying to show us, and I'm only really beginning to realize all this myself, these repeating patterns, right?
Und ich fange das sowieso erst jetzt gerade richtig an zu ergreifen, diese ganzen wiederholenden Muster.
So, what in the desire of ages, what does the Lord say the 2 great crises are?
Und was sagt der Herr im Leben Jesu? Was sind diese 2 großen Krisen am Ende der Welt?
Second coming and
Destruction of Jerusalem.
destruction of Jerusalem.
Das zweite Kommen und die Zerstörung Jerusalems.
Okay, so Christ throws down the censer there, says it is finished. 4 winds get loosed, right? 7 last plagues begin to fall.
Also Christus sagt, hier ist es geschehen, er wirft das Räucherfass auf die Erde und die 4 Winde werden gelöst.
Okay,
7 letzten Plagen fangen an zu fallen.
okay, and the 7 last plagues is marking the destruction of Jerusalem. Right?
Und die 7 letzten Plagen markieren ja auch die Zerstörung Jerusalems.
So, do we have other illustrations of the destruction of Jerusalem right there?
Haben wir auch andere Darstellungen hier von der Zerstörung Jerusalems hier.
Is it Titus?
Yes, Titus is the destruction of Jerusalem, but that's not what I'm asking. I said, do we have other illustrations? Give me a thus saith the Lord.
Gib mir, es steht geschrieben, so spricht der Herr.
Cross.
The cross and how?
Das Kreuz und wie? Warum?
That's why it says that when they crucified Christ, that's when the destruction should have taken place.
Uh,
Or closely related to.
Yes, it should have taken place. It says that the destruction of Jerusalem was delayed for 40 years, right?
Also Ellen White sagt, dass letztendlich, als sie Christus gekreuzigt haben, sollte eigentlich die Zerstörung Jerusalems dort stattfinden.
Also virtually destroyed the temple when they crucified him. So they destroyed the temple.
Und Ellen White sagt auch, sie haben in Wirklichkeit durch die Kreuzigung Christi schon den Tempel damals zerstört.
He says, tear down this temple and in 3 days I will rebuild it, right?
Jesus sagt, er reißt diesen Tempel ab und in 3 Tagen werde ich ihn dann aufrichten.
So we have lots of types here marking that when the four winds get loosed here at this time of trouble, it's marking this, it's typifying this last time of trouble, right?
Also wir haben viele dieser Typen, dass wenn die 4 Winde hier gelöst werden, schattet das diese letzte Zeit der Trübsal voraus.
Okay, I'm trying to think where it is now, where the pioneers after the First World War, right, they said that they're in this little time of peace, right?
Die Pioneere haben ja gesagt nach dem Ersten Weltkrieg, dass sie sich in dieser kleinen Zeit des Friedens befinden.
And that the Lord was holding back the winds of strife,
Dass der Herr dort die Winde des Streites zurückhält,
right? So to allow them time to do the work, right?
um ihnen Zeit zu gewähren, das Werk zu tun.
And we were discussing this, that they take the quote that Sister White marks, says yet the four winds are yet held in check so as not to prevent the work of the third angel.
Und sie nehmen dann dieses Zitat, wo Ellen White sagt, ja, die 4 Winde sind jetzt in Schach gehalten, sodass sie das Werk des 3. Engels nicht behindern würden.
Does anybody know where we normally put that quote?
Und wo setzen wir normalerweise dieses Zitat hin?
Sorry?
An das Sonntagsgesetz.
Yes, it's the one that begins. Just go there one second.
Early Writings 84, I think.
Yes.
Wir suchen das Zitat jetzt raus, das ist, glaube ich,
I want us to see something.
Early Writings 84.
Okay. It's 85. 85.3.
85. 85.3.
You want to post the German? I'll post the English. Yes, 85.3. Sen här lärs det. Everybody there?
Ist jeder da?
Okay, 1 second. Okay, so it says this view was given in 1847. So it's just months before 1848, right?
Also es ist einfach nur ein paar Monate vor 1848.
This view was given in 1847 when there were but very few of the Advent brethren observing the Sabbath, and of these but few supposed that its observance was of sufficient importance to draw a line between the people of God and unbelievers. Now the fulfillment of that view is beginning to be seen. The commencement of that time of trouble here mentioned does not refer to the time when the plagues shall begin to be poured out, but to a short period just before they are poured out while Christ is in the sanctuary. At that time, while the work of salvation is closing, trouble will be coming on the earth, and the nations will be angry, yet held in check, so as not to prevent the work of the third angel. At that time, the latter rain or refreshing from the presence of the Lord will come to give power to the loud voice of the third angel and prepare the saints to stand in the period when the 7 last plagues shall be poured out. Okay? So, you can see here that there's this time of trouble that's not the time of Jacob's trouble.
Also wir sehen hier ist diese Zeit der Trübsal erwähnt, die nicht die Zeit der Trübsal unter Jakob ist.
Where the latter rain is going to come to allow them to finish the work before Jacob's trouble comes, right?
Wo sie jetzt die Möglichkeit bekommen, jetzt das Werk zu tun, bevor Jakobs Angst kommt.
Okay, so they're talking about AD 48, right?
Das spricht hier über 1848.
So in AD 48, the angel of Revelation 18 comes there, which is the third angel, right?
Also 1848, das war ja der dritte Engel.
Right, and it says that the nations are angry yet held in check.
Das sagt, dass die Nationen zornig sind und doch in Schach gehalten werden.
And we've gone through this many times, right? So the nations are angry right here.
Why did you say Jacob's trouble? She never says it.
No, I'm talking about Jacob's trouble. The time of trouble, that time of trouble here is, it says there,
Not this time of trouble when the 7 last plagues are poured out.
that's Jacob's trouble.
Yes, but Jacob's trouble is also typified by...
That's not what, we'll go there, that's not what I'm saying. Jacob's trouble is the 7 last plagues.
Yeah, perfect sense. Yes.
Well, it was
No, it's
perfect
just-
sense is
no,
the
it's
7
just-
last plagues.
No, just would, if you would say it now like this, then you would be saying, alright, you cannot put Jacob's time of trouble beforehand.
What's that there?
Yes.
But it's not the 7 last plagues.
No, but it typifies.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It's still not the time of Jacob's trouble. It's only a type.
Yes, but still you can then apply Jacob's trouble.
Lawrence, let's not get into this argument. I know what I mean, and I think everybody else knows what I mean. The 7 last plagues is Jacob's time of trouble. She says it very clearly, right? So we're not denying that it's typified beforehand, and this is what we're looking at.
Okay, so just continue.
Okay, so so she's talking about a time of trouble that comes before the time of trouble, right?
Also er spricht über eine Zeit der Trübsal, die vor der Zeit der Trübsal kommt.
Okay, but if I can just find it quickly, I think it's this one. Yes. Let me post. Okay, let me post this. This was the pioneers now talking about this time between these 2 times of trouble.
Und das, was ich jetzt posten werde, ist jetzt von den Pionieren, wo sie über diese Zeit zwischen den 2 Zeiten der Trübsal gesprochen haben.
Okay, I'm just going to post that. Okay, I've posted it in the live stream group. We've read this before.
Ich habe das jetzt in der Livestream-Gruppe gepostet. Wir haben das bereits schon mal gelesen gehabt.
Okay. So it says, it's from pamphlets 120, and it says, evidence are multiplying on every hand that the plan of salvation is about to close. Great power is to attend it in its closing work. While the work of salvation is closing, trouble will be coming on the earth, and the nations will be angry, yet held in check, as not to prevent the work of the third angel. At that time, the latter rain or refreshing from the presence of the Lord will come to give power to the loud voice of the third angel. Right? That's what we just read. That's what, right? And it doesn't mention 1847 there. They just took this portion of that quote. Right?
Also sie zitieren einfach das Zitat, was wir eben gerade hier gelesen haben.
Okay.
Und erwähnen halt nicht 1847, sondern nehmen jetzt einfach diesen Teil hier, den sie hier zitiert haben.
So it says over 60 years ago, in referring to the recent European conflict in a special testimony, Sister White said. So they're saying that Sister White 60 years ago predicted the First World War, right?
Sie sagen letztendlich 60 Jahre zuvor hat Ellen White hier diesen Ersten Weltkrieg vorausgesagt.
I saw Europe just as things were moving to accomplish their desire. There would seemingly be a slackening up once or twice. Thus the hearts of the wicked would be relieved and hardened, but the work would not settle down, only seem to. Right? There's this seeming time of peace, right?
Da gibt es diese scheinbare Zeit des Friedens.
For the minds of kings and rulers were intent upon overthrowing each other, and minds of the people to get the ascendancy. Probably to this little time of seeming peace, the statement in volume 1, page 268 refers. There seemed to be a little time of peace. This time of apparent peace is followed by the final world conflict, right? And the final world conflict, which is, they're talking about the 7 last plagues, right? Was typified by World War II, right?
Also der finale Weltkonflikt, und Sie haben über die 7 letzten Plagen gesprochen, ist vorausgeschattet worden durch den Zweiten Weltkrieg.
Right, you see why it's very clear to see that they're saying that when this conflict comes, that's the time of Jacob's trouble, right?
Wir werden gleich sehr deutlich sagen, dass wenn dieser Konflikt kommt, sagen sie, das ist die Zeit von Jakobs Trübsal.
Right? And here we have the time of Jacob's trouble typified, just like the 7 last plagues have been typified, etc., etc.
Und
Right?
hier haben wir die Zeit von Jakobs Trübsal vorausgeschattet, genauso wie die 7 letzten Plagen und so weiter und so fort.
Okay, and it says, this time of apparent peace is followed by the final world conflict. Sister White, in referring to it, said, once more, the inhabitants of the earth were presented before me, and again everything was in the utmost confusion. Strife, war, and bloodshed, with famine and pestilence, raged everywhere. Then men's hearts failed them for fear. Okay, so referring to Luke 21, right?
In Bezug hier auf Lukas 21, wo steht, dass das Menschenherz vor Furcht vergeht.
Okay, so just go back to Isaiah 19,
Gehen wir zurück zu Jesaja 19,
verse 1.
Vers 1.
It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Right? And this is this same illustration as we're seeing there in Luke 21, right?
Das ist dieselbe Darstellung, die wir auch in Lukas 21 sehen konnten.
Because if we just okay, we'll just read on. It says, then back to the quote.
Zurück zum Zitat.
Then men's hearts failed them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. When peace was declared in Europe, men were still hopeful through a League of Nations to bring about the reign of peace. And what reign of peace is it that they want to bring?
Und was für eine Regentschaft des Friedens wollten sie dort versuchen zu bringen?
1000.
The 1,000 years, the millennium, right?
Das Millennium, die 1000 Jahre.
Okay, so okay, so and we know at the end of the millennium what's going to happen.
Und wir verstehen, dass am Ende des Millenniums, was wird da passieren?
Satan is loosed.
Satan is going to be loosed.
Christus kommt und Satan wird gelöst werden.
Okay, it's important because we're bringing different thoughts line upon line together, right?
Denn wir bringen ja Linie auf Linie verschiedene Dinge zusammen.
Okay, but as the final conflict opens, all hope is given up. Their hearts will then fail them for fear. Right? So, back to Isaiah 19, verse 2.
Zurück zu Jesaja 19, Vers 2.
And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. They shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbour, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. So hold your place there. Go to Luke 21.
Haltet euren Finger hier, gehen wir zu Lukas 21.
And verse 25.
Vers 25.
It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Okay? Now, if we just...
Bis Vers 28.
So, it's marking the shaking of the heavens and the earth, right? That point.
Markiert hier das Erschüttern des Himmels und der Erde hier an Mitternachtsruf.
Okay. Stars falling from heaven, etc., right?
Sterne fallen hier vom Himmel und so weiter und so fort.
But just go across to verse 9.
Aber gehen wir jetzt zu Vers 9.
It says, but when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass. This is the First World War, right?
Das ist hier der Erste Weltkrieg.
But the end is not by and by. Then he said unto me, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. This is Isaiah 19, right?
Und das ist jetzt Vers 10, Jesaja 19.
And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilence and fearful sights and great signs there shall be from heaven, right? So when it's talking about here, this kingdom against kingdom and these great signs from heaven, it's talking about Isaiah 19, right?
Hier in Lukas 21 über Königreich gegen Königreich spricht und diese furchtbaren Zeichen vom Himmel, spricht es über Jesaja 19.
Right? It's where everybody now is demonstrating their character.
Wo
Right?
jeder jetzt seinen Charakter demonstriert.
I have a question.
Yes.
It says in verse 12, but before all these, we said prior to this that it needs before the shaking of the heaven and the earth, right?
Yes.
Where will we mark this then before all? Because if we mark this, Moses and Widows, right, with the midnight cry, then would we mark that they did already after persecution again?
Same place. Why not?
Asking says before these, so specifically it says before the shaking of the heaven that the earth they deliver you up, right? Right?
Yes, but it is. I mean, it's the delivering up of you that brings about the shaking of the heavens and the earth.
Also die Frage ist jetzt hier in Vers 12 steht ja, vor all diesen Dingen werden sie dich ausliefern. Die Frage ist jetzt, ja, wenn wir hier das Erschüttern des Himmels und der Erde markieren, wo setzen wir dann das Ausliefern hin? Soll ja davor kommen, aber es ist gerade das Ausliefern hier an der Wegmarke, was dann die Erschütterung des Himmels und der Erde hervorrufen wird.
Okay, but just go to Revelation 11.
Gehen wir zur Offenbarung 11 dazu.
And the key is right here, right?
Das Schlüssel ist genau hier in Offenbarung 11,
Verse 7.
Vers 7.
It says, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit. What's it marking right here?
Was markiert das hier in Vers 7?
What is this?
Yes, you just think of what we're talking about. Satan's been loosed, right?
Also Satan wird hier gelöst.
So, beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and overcome them and kill them, right? This is what brings about this great time of trouble, right?
Also das bringt ja dann diese zweite Zeit der Trübsal hervor.
So, I mean, everything has a cause and effect, right?
Alles hat Ursache und Wirkung.
So at the end of the 1,000 years, what happens to Satan?
Am Ende der 1000 Jahre, was passiert mit Satan?
He's loosed out of the bottomless pit.
Er wird aus dem Abgrund gelöst.
Okay? So, and immediately it marks this point where you get delivered up before kings. And when they sentence you to death, it's marking this point. They bring these great calamities upon you, right?
Also es markiert dann,
On themselves.
dass sie sofort ausgeliefert und wenn sie dich zu Tode bringen wollen, dann wird das auch letztendlich die ganzen Unruhen über sie bringen.
How did Jezebel reveal herself?
Wie hat Isabel sich offenbart?
And she said, kill him. That's her demonstrating her character,
Als sie
right?
gesagt hat, töte ihn, und da hat sie ihren Charakter
We've
demonstriert.
put this in place a long time. It's not when that time of trouble happens that they deliver you up before kings. They deliver you up before kings, and that's what brings about that time of trouble.
Es ist nicht, dass die Trübsalzeit kommt und dann liefern die dich aus, sondern erst liefern sie dich aus und dann ist die Trübsal die Folge davon.
Okay, they're one and the same point in time.
Letztendlich ein und derselbe Zeitpunkt.
Okay, now so just go back to Isaiah 19.
Gehen wir zurück zu Jesaja 19.
So verse 2 it says, and I will set
Vers 2.
I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbour, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts. So,
Bis Vers 4.
you're being given to your master right there,
Also du wirst jetzt hier deinen Meister übergeben.
right?
Richtig?
And it's marked by the second time that Satan comes down in the book of Job.
Und das wird auch markiert durch dieses zweite Mal, wo Satan runterkommt im Buch Hiob.
So when Satan comes down from heaven in the book of Job, what's the first thing that he does?
Und als Satan im Buch Hiob vom Himmel kommt, was macht er als erstes?
Smites Job with sore boils, right?
Er schlägt Hiob mit Geschwüren.
Is this putting the dirty garments on him, saying you're a sinner? This is what happens in the time of the 7 last plagues, right?
Also er zieht diese schmutzigen Gewänder Hiob an und sagt, du bist ein Sünder letztendlich. Und das ist ja, was hier in den 7 letzten Plagen passieren wird.
What's he trying to get God's people to do?
Und was versucht der Gottes Volk tun zu lassen?
To doubt their past experience.
Dass sie ihre vergangene Erfahrung anzweifeln.
Okay, now go back to this quote because you have to bring many thoughts together here, right?
Nun lass uns zurück zu dem Zitat gehen, denn wir müssen hier viele Gedanken miteinander zusammenbringen.
So we finished with the paragraph that said their hearts will then fail them for fear.
Also wir sind jetzt hier beim letzten Absatz angekommen von dem Zitat.
Now look what they say, right?
Lass uns jetzt sehen, was sie weiter sagen.
This short period between the 2 great world conflicts is providentially granted God's people to finish the task before them of carrying the last message of mercy to the people, and of warning them of impending judgments, and of the nearness of the end. It is at this time that the latter rain or refreshing from the presence of the Lord will come to give power to the loud voice of the 3rd angel. Okay, so where are they placing, if we have to take a line now, where would they be placing the latter rain coming?
Also wenn wir jetzt die Linie betrachten, wo würden sie jetzt markieren, wo der Spätregen kommt?
Where it's been held.
Wo ist es hier gehalten?
At the beginning of the little time of peace, right?
Am Beginn der Kleinzeit des Friedens.
Okay, but when are the 4 winds held and the latter rain comes so that you can give the last one a message?
Aber wann werden die 4 Winde gehalten und der Spätregen kommt, dass du die letzte Warnungsbotschaft geben kannst?
The midnight cry.
The Sunday law crisis, right?
Sonntagsgesetzkrise.
But it's not the last word messenger who said the midnight cry war.
No. Let's not just stick with what we're doing. Point at a time, otherwise we get all confused, right? So they're marking this time is where Christ throws down the censer, his beginning comes, the 7 last plagues is the final conflict, right?
Sie markieren hier diese Zeit hier, wo Christus das Räucherfass runterwirft, sagt, es ist geschehen und die 7 letzten Plagen fallen.
And they're saying, right, that this time here has been granted them to finish the work before this comes, right?
Und sie sagen, dass diese Zeit ihnen noch gewährt worden ist, das Werk abzuschließen, bevor diese Zeit dann hier kommt.
It says it's at this time that the latter rain comes, right? Yet the nations are held in check, right?
Und sie sagen, es ist zu dieser Zeit, wo der Spätregen kommt, aber die Nationen werden zurückgehalten.
Okay, so line upon line, do we have the latter rain coming there and the wind's being held in check?
Linie auf Linie haben wir hier markiert, dass der Spätregen hier kommt und die Winde werden zurückgehalten.
Why is everybody looking? It's line upon line, right?
Linie auf Linie.
So you have to take all the stories. You're not to think of on one line. You're thinking August 11th, 1840. What came?
11. August 1840, was kam?
What's? What are we talking about, Margaret? Don't confuse the issue. What came on August 11th, 1840?
Was kam am 11. August 1840?
The latter rain came.
Der
It
Spätregen.
was a glorious manifestation of the power of God.
Es war eine herrliche Manifestation der Macht Gottes.
And Sister White parallels the angel of Revelation 10 to the latter rain at the end of the world, right?
Einmal vergleicht er den Engel aus Offenbarung 10 mit dem Spätregen hier am Ende der Welt.
Says it so clearly in several places.
Das sagt es sehr deutlich an mehreren Stellen.
Christ's baptism, what did he receive?
Christi Taufe, was hat er erhalten?
Full outpouring of the Spirit, right?
Volle Ausgießung des Geistes.
So, you have 2 witnesses right there for the latter rain,
Also wir
right?
haben 2 Zeugen hier für den Spätregen.
Okay? 50, the 4th month.
5. Tag des 4.
What's
Monats.
coming to Ezekiel?
Was kommt zu dem Hesekiel?
Glorious manifestation of the power of God.
Eine herrliche Manifestation der Macht Gottes.
In Revelation 10, it's likened by a cloud and a rainbow, right? In the day of rain.
In Offenbarung 10 wird es ja mit einer Wolke und einem Regenbogen markiert, wenn der Engel runterkommt.
Go to Ezekiel chapter 1.
Gehen wir zu Hesekiel 1.
Now there's nothing being changed here, right? We're just laying a line upon a line, right?
Also wir ändern hier nichts, wir legen hier nur Linie auf Linie zusammen.
Okay, let's go to verse 27.
Hesekiel 1, Vers 27 und 28.
And I saw as the colour of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain. So was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell on my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. When you fall on your face, what does it represent?
Wenn du auf dein Angesicht fällst, was repräsentiert das?
Yes, man's glory is laid in the dust. So when man's glory is laid in the dust, what does it allow the Lord now to do to you?
Die menschliche Herrlichkeit wird in den Staub gelegt und was gibt das dem Herrn jetzt für eine Möglichkeit zu tun?
To fill you with the Spirit, right?
Dich mit dem Geist zu füllen.
Can't put new wine in an old bottle, right?
Du kannst ja keinen neuen Wein in eine alte Flasche tun.
So, this glory there is typifying the filling of the Spirit, right?
Und diese Herrlichkeit, also schattet dieses Erfülltwerden mit dem Heiligen Geist voraus.
Okay, at 9/11 and on August 11th, 1840, was there something restrained?
Am 11. August und am 11. September wurde da etwas zurückgehalten.
Yes, Islam was restrained, right? So you have
Islam wurde zurückgehalten.
the four winds restrained, right?
Also werden die 4 Winde zurückgehalten. It was also because it was the 4 angels, right, that got restrained there. So which is 4 winds. And also in Cyrus line.
Yes,
Right.
yes. It says
All the days of Cyrus and Cambyses, the evil forces were held in check when Michael came down.
yes. The powers were held. I'm trying to think of the right expression it uses, but when the angel came down there, it's paralleling the angel in Revelation 10, the angel in Revelation 18. The powers were held in check.
Also also hier haben wir 11. August 1840. Das waren ja die 4 Engel, die hier dann wieder gebunden worden sind. Das markiert diese 4 Winde, die gehalten sind. Auch in der Linie der 3 Dekrete. Das erste Dekret von Kyros, da kam ja Michael herab. Und Ellen White sagt, da wurden dann die ganzen bösen Mächte zurückgehalten
So,
über eine gewisse Zeit.
when we understand that, right, it's just confirming this thought for us that it's at the beginning and the end, right?
Also wenn wir das verstehen, dann kann es uns diesen Gedanken hier bestätigen, dass es am Anfang und am Ende markiert ist.
Okay, so now I want us to look at this top illustration here, right?
Und wir wollen uns jetzt hier diese obere Darstellung anschauen.
Past, present, and the future.
Vergangenheit, Gegenwart, Zukunft.
John is standing in 1798.
Johannes steht hier 1798.
What's he looking back at?
Und worauf schaut er zurück?
Right, so he's looking back at this time of trouble, right?
Er schaut zurück auf diese Zeit der Trübsal hier.
Right, and he's looking forward to the second coming of Christ, right?
Und er schaut vorwärts auf die Wiederkunft Christi.
This is what the Millerites thought was coming here, right?
Und das wäre, was die Milleriten gedacht haben, was hier 1844 passieren sollte.
So what happened from this time to this time?
Deswegen, was passiert in dieser Zeit, in der Zwischenzeit hier?
What? Yes, Millerite time, 1798, that's what we're talking about. What did the Millerites understand was happening in that time period?
Was haben die Milleriten verstanden? Was ist in dieser Zeit passiert?
The message was good.
What message?
The first and second.
The last warning message was being given to the world before Christ would come,
Sie
right?
haben dort die letzte Warnungsbotschaft gegeben an die Welt, bevor Christus kommt.
Right?
Richtig?
And we went through this before, showing that this is the 7 thunders from here to here, right?
Und wir haben ja schon zuvor gezeigt in Studien, dass das hier auch die 7 Donner ist von 1798 bis 1844.
And 1798, 1844 was a time of peace. There was no world conflict at that time.
Und 1798 bis 1844 war eine Zeit des Friedens, da gab es keinen Weltkonflikt zu dieser Zeit.
Okay, so at least what I understand is that the Sunday law crisis, when it comes, right? Because the Sunday law crisis is marked at the time of the end, right? And 7, which is right there, right?
Also die Sonntagsgesetzkrise ist hier zur Zeit des Endes markiert.
It's teaching us that Sunday law crisis is a time of peace,
Es lehrt uns letztendlich, dass diese Sonntagsgesetzkrise eine Zeit des Friedens ist.
right? It's a time of peace in regards to what it could be, because the Lord is holding back those winds, right?
Es ist eine Zeit des Friedens in dem Sinne, was an sich hätte sein können, weil der Herr noch die Winde zurückhält.
Right? It's a fractal within a fractal.
Es ist ein Fraktal innerhalb eines Fraktals.
Okay, now go to Revelation 20.
Gehen wir zur Offenbarung 20.
Just one second, I just I'll type in something. Where's this one? Okay, so now in Revelation 20, right, it says, verse 1, I saw an angel come down from heaven and having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand, right? Just keep your place there and go to Revelation 9.
Halte deinen Finger jetzt hier und gehen wir zur Offenbarung 9.
In verse 1.
Und dann Vers 1.
And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Right? What do you see in both these illustrations?
Was könnt ihr in beiden Darstellungen hier sehen?
Right, you see the same illustration. But what's the difference between these two illustrations?
Selbe Darstellung, aber was ist der Unterschied?
In Revelation 9 it's Satan, in Revelation 20 it's someone else.
Offenbarung 9 ist es Satan und in Offenbarung 20 ist es jemand anderes, das ist Christus.
Okay, it's Christ, right? Right. So it's this. They're both coming down from heaven at the same time, right?
Sie kommen beide vom Himmel zur selben Zeit.
Now, what have we got here?
Was haben wir hier?
What's this? The 1,000 years where Satan is in the pit,
Also
right?
1000 Jahre, wo Satan hier in der Grube ist.
And this is marked by Revelation 20 that we just read,
Und
right?
das ist markiert durch Offenbarung 20, was wir gerade gelesen haben.
So go back to Revelation 20, verse 1.
Offenbarung 20, Vers 1.
And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him. Right? So,
Das ist Vers 2.
when we're talking about Cyrus right here, what did Christ do?
Also wenn wir hier über Kyros sprechen, was hat Christus getan?
He came down right there and he restrained Satan. He bound him, right?
Er kam ja hier herab und hat dann Satan gebunden.
Right?
Richtig?
And that's very clear. It's exactly the same illustration. The winds are being restrained. Right?
Genau dieselbe Darstellung. Die Winde werden hier gehalten.
Okay? So, now, in Revelation 9, when Satan comes down and he has the key of the bottomless pit, is he restrained?
In Offenbarung Kapitel 9, wenn Satan jetzt hier runterkommt und den Abgrund auftut, ist er dort auch eingeschränkt?
Yes.
Yes.
Ja.
He's not allowed to kill, right?
Ihm wird nicht die Erlaubnis gegeben zu töten.
He's only allowed to do what?
Ihm wird nur erlaubt, was zu tun.
To torment,
Zu quälen.
right? So, it's a parallel. We can also take Revelation 9 and put it right here where Satan comes down, and they've got the key there, but he's restrained, right? He's only allowed to torment.
Wir können Satan auch hier markieren, der runterkommt und er wird zurückgehalten. Ihm wird nur erlaubt zu quälen.
Do we follow? Because this is the last warning message. This is the last warning message, right?
Weil das hier ist die letzte Warnungsbotschaft und das hier ist die letzte Warnungsbotschaft.
I'm not putting them in two different places. They're at the same place. The angel of Revelation 9 is the same place right here. It's just showing you from a different perspective.
Engel auf Offenbarung 9 ist hier derselbe Platz wie hier. Ich möchte das nur aus einer anderen Perspektive zeigen.
Are we following or are we confused?
Confused.
I'm also confused.
Why are we confused? Look, 1798, 84 was Millerite history, right?
Also 1798 bis 1844 ist die Miller-Geschichte.
What were they doing in Millerite history?
Und was haben sie in der Miller-Geschichte getan?
Given the last warning message. What does Millerite history
Die
typify?
letzte Warnungsbotschaft gegeben. Und was schattet die Miller-Geschichte voraus?
What is 1798, 1844 a type of?
Und Was schattet 1798 bis 1844 voraus?
Little time of
That's why we're not thinking right. It's 1798 to 1844 is a type of the Sunday law crisis.
1798 bis 1844 ist ein Typus für die Sonntagsgesetzkrise.
The reform lines, right? Millerite line, Christ line, Moses line, 3 decrees. It's all pointed to our line, right?
Also die Reformlinien, die ganzen Reformlinien, die schatten letztendlich unsere Zeit voraus. Also Miller-Linie,
Right.
Christi-Linie, Mose-Linie und so weiter.
1798 is the time of the end. When does Sister White say the time of the end is?
Und 1798 ist die Zeit des Endes. Und was sagt Ellen White, was ist die Zeit des Endes?
Thrones and churches come together.
Sonntagsgesetz, Kirchen und Krone kommen zusammen.
At that time, the latter rain will come. That's why I was comparing these two things. She marks it right here, clear as a bell, right?
Also zu dieser Zeit wird der Spätregen kommen und sie markiert das sehr deutlich hier.
So this right here is typifying the last warning all the way through to here, the last warning message, right?
Das schottet also diese letzte Warnungsbotschaft hier voraus.
Okay? Because it's 1260, it's the... Just not... Ignore this now, right? There's the time of trouble taking you to there, and there's the second time of trouble, right?
Also das hier ist nämlich eine 1260 bis zum Kreuz und da haben wir die zweite Zeit der 1260.
Okay? It's like that, right? 1260 followed by 1260,
Also wie hier 1260 gefolgt von 1260.
right? So we're just taking this illustration and we're taking it on a different perspective, or this illustration, taking a different perspective and we're putting it here. Was it 1844 the cross?
Also wir nehmen das jetzt hier und setzen das in einer anderen Darstellung hier ein. War 1844 das Kreuz?
Right. It's the same point, right? Time of the end to the closed door.
Zeit des Endes bis zur geschlossenen Tür.
Are we following now?
yes.
Können wir folgen?
Okay. I'm not disenfranchised. I don't know if I can even use that word. I'm not separating. I'm not changing how we understand this in any way, shape, or form. We are taking it and we are taking the thought and we are putting a new thought line upon line.
Also ich möchte nichts ändern, was wir jetzt hier ausgelegt haben, so bisher, sondern ich möchte jetzt einfach diesen Gedanken nehmen und jetzt ihn hier auch hinein projizieren.
Okay, so I think it's this. Yes, go to this quote, Testaments to Ministers 364.2.
Gehen wir jetzt hier zum nächsten Zitat.
Okay, just put this. I'm not going to put everything there. There's no German, right? Let me just quickly translate that.
Das Deutsche kommt jetzt.
Okay. Okay, let's go to this quote here. So she begins, it says, everything in our world is in agitation. Where else have we read that?
Wo haben wir das noch gelesen?
Where else have we read that?
Wo haben wir das noch gelesen? Wo steht, alles in unserer Welt ist in Aufruhr?
come on guys, are we paying attention? Where else, we've read these quotes so many times. Where have we heard the explanation? Everything in our world is in agitation.
Wo haben wir diesen Ausdruck schon mal gehört?
The quotes of all the words.
One T 2 6.
No, maybe you're right, maybe it's me that has it wrong, but I understand it. She's talking about we're living in the time of the end.
Also sie hat ja dieses Zitat aus dem 9. Band der Zeugnisse, wir leben in der Zeit des Endes.
Okay, I will confirm this later. I will post the quote. But anyway,
Ich werde das nochmal bestätigen und das Zitat nochmal
she's
posten.
talking about this time, right?
Sie spricht
When
also
the
hier,
nations are angry, the whole world is stirred with the spirit of war.
sie spricht über diese Zeit, wo die Nationen zornig sind und die ganze Welt mit dem Kriegsgeist aufgewühlt ist.
Okay, because it says everything in the world is in agitation. Coming events cast their shadows before. The signs of the time are ominous indeed. Now, when she uses this expression, the signs of the times, where is she referring to?
Und wenn sie jetzt hier diesen Ausdruck Zeichen der Zeit nimmt, worauf nimmt sie Bezug? Welche Zeit?
Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the signs that are marked.
Sie nimmt Bezug auf Matthäus, Markus und Lukas, die Zeichen, die da gegeben werden.
Okay, there is assurance in nothing that is human or earthly. The winds are held by the four angels. A moment of respite has been graciously given us of God. So what two things are being put together there?
Also welche zwei Dinge werden hier zusammengebracht?
Okay, so it's marking the four winds being held, marking the beginning of the time of peace,
Vier
right?
Winde werden gehalten, markiert den Beginn der Zeit des Friedens.
A moment of respite, and this is the little time of peace, right?
Ein Moment des Ausruhens, das ist die kleine Zeit des Friedens.
And if you type that in there, you'll find that there's many quotes that refer to this, right? It
Wenn man
says,
diesen Begriff suchen würde, dann hätte man viele Zitate, die darüber sprechen.
a moment of respite has been graciously given us of God. Every power lent us of God, whether physical, mental, or moral, is to be sacredly cherished to do the work assigned us for our fellow men who are perishing in their ignorance. The warning is to go forth to all parts of the world. There must be no delay. Rapidly are men ranging themselves under the banner they have chosen, restlessly waiting and watching the movements of their leaders. There are those who are watching and waiting, working for our Lord's appearing, while the other party are rapidly falling into the line under the generalship of the first great apostate. They look for a God in humanity. Now get this point, right? They look for a God in humanity, and Satan personifies the one they seek. Okay? Multitudes will be so deluded through their rejection of truth that they will accept the counterfeit. Humanity is hailed as God. Now, this is a nice quote.
Bis zum Ende des zweiten Absatzes haben wir gelesen.
Where is humanity hailed as God?
Wo wird Menschlichkeit als Gott verlautbart?
Right here, man, right?
Am Mitternachtsruf.
The last great deception, right?
Die letzte große Täuschung.
It's where the Pope is going to manifest himself as Christ, right?
Wo der Papst sich als Christus manifestieren wird.
So it's telling us that they're looking for a savior, right?
Sagt uns hier, sie halten Ausschau nach einem Erretter.
Okay. So it says, one has come from the heavenly courts to represent God in human form. The Son of God was made man and dwelt among us. So, where on our line did Christ come from the heavenly courts to represent, how did it say? It says, to represent God in human form. Where is that marked?
Wo ist das markiert, dass jetzt hier einer aus den himmlischen Höfen kam, um Gott in menschlicher Form zu repräsentieren?
Give me a biblical illustration. Where was it?
Gib mir eine biblische Darstellung. Wo ist das gewesen?
It's not about Christ coming in the flesh or horse.
Yes, but just on our line.
Auf unserer Linie.
The baptism.
Okay, the baptism, right?
Mit der Taufe.
So the baptism is where he becomes the Messiah, the Christ, right?
Also bei der Taufe wird er der Messias, der Christus,
The anointed one,
der
right?
Gesalbte.
The combination of the human and the divine. It's marked by this, right?
Die Verbindung der Göttlichkeit und der Menschlichkeit ist dann hier dargestellt.
Which is the time of the end,
Und das ist auch die Zeit des Endes,
which is the birth.
was auch die Geburt ist.
So we know this, that there's two temple cleanses. There's one at the beginning and one at the end,
Wir
right?
wissen, es gibt ja die zwei Tempelreinigungen, eine am Anfang, eine am Ende.
That's what's marked here. Two temple cleansings, right?
Ist hier dargestellt zwei Tempelreinigungen.
Right?
Richtig.
We understand all these. These are thoughts, line upon line, right?
Das sind die Gedanken Linie auf Linie.
So there's one at the beginning of this period, right? Which when you get here, you're not to deny your past experience, and then it's the same thing being repeated here. When you get here, you're not to deny this experience, right?
Also zwei Tempelreinigungen, ja, wenn du hier hinkommst, sollst du nicht deine vergangene Erfahrung verleugnen. Dasselbe wird wiederholt, dass wenn du dann hierhin jeweils kommst, sollst du deine vergangene Erfahrung nicht verleugnen.
It's always about that. Satan's always going to try and get you to deny what came before, right?
Das ist immer dasselbe Prinzip. Satan versucht immer, dich zum Verleugnen dessen zu bringen, was zuvor war.
So what I believe this is trying to teach us, when this happens right here, in this time where you're taking forward the message, what's going to happen in some people?
Also ich glaube, was das uns lehren soll, ist, dass wenn wir hier vorwärts gehen und die Botschaft zu bringen, was wird in einigen Leuten hier passieren und stattfinden?
They're looking to the human rather than to the divine, right?
Sie schauen mehr auf den Menschen als auf Gott.
Okay, it says, one has come from the heavenly course to represent God in human form. The Son of God was made man and dwelt among us. In him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. That was true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came into his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them he gave power to become the sons of God. Right? So you have power to become the sons of God right here. Right here you have power to become the sons of God. Right?
Dass ihr Christ Macht, Söhne Gottes zu werden und das ebenso auch hier.
Okay. It says, there are but two parties. Satan works with his crooked, deceiving power, and through strong delusions he catches all who do not abide in the truth, who have turned away their ears from truth and have turned to fables. Satan himself abode not in the truth. He is the mystery of iniquity. Through his subtlety he gives to his soul destroying errors the appearance of truth. Herein is their power to deceive. It is because they are a counterfeit of the truth that spiritualism, theosophy, and the like deceptions gain such a power over the minds of men. Herein is the masterly working of Satan. He pretends to be the saviour of man, the benefactor of the human race, and thus he more readily lures his victims to destruction. We are warned in the Word of God that sleepless vigilance is the price of safety. Only in the straight path of truth and righteousness can we escape the tempter's power. But the world is ensnared. Satan's skill is exercised in devising plans and methods without number to accomplish his purposes. Dissimulation has become a fine art with him, and he works in the guise of an angel of light. God's eye alone discerns his schemes to contaminate the world with false and ruinous principles, bearing on their face the appearance of genuine goodness. He works to restrict religious liberty and to bring into the religious world a species of slavery. Jesus, this term right there, slavery. Right?
Benutzt ihr den Ausdruck Sklaverei genau hier.
Organizations, institutions, unless kept by the power of God, will work under Satan's dictation to bring men under the control of men, and fraud and guile will bear the semblance of zeal for truth, and for the advancement of the kingdom of God. Whatever in our practice is not as open as day belongs to the methods of the prince of evil. Brothers and sisters, pay attention to what that said right there.
Geschwister, achtet auf das, was sie hier sagt.
His methods are practiced even among Seventh-day Adventists who claim to have advanced truth. Who are those that claim to have advanced truth?
Wer behauptet, fortschreitende Wahrheit zu haben?
Okay, so right here in this school, right, if you're not following principle, you're already building yourself up as Satan's little agents, right?
Also auch hier direkt in der Schule, wenn wir nicht Prinzipien verfolgen, dann werden wir in dem Sinne ausgebildet, Satans kleine Helfer zu werden.
Okay, so it's basically warning us that when this little time of peace comes and we are granted this time to take forward this message, that there's the true and the counterfeit are side by side.
Da wartet uns letztendlich, wenn wir in diese Zeit des Friedens hier eintreten und diese letzte Warnungsbotschaft vorwärts geht, da wird Wahrheit und Irrtum oder das Wahre und das Falsche eng beieinander liegen.
And they're going to manifest themselves right here.
Und sie werden sich dann aber hier im Mitternachtsruf manifestieren.
Which is prefigured right here.
Was vorausgestattet ist, auch hier.
Right? Because that's what I'm saying. The beginning brings you to the end, right?
Denn das haben wir gesehen, der Anfang bringt dich zum Ende.
So we've been looking at this waymark where everybody's going to manifest their character right here. It's just prefiguring this time right here. Right?
Wir haben diese Wegmarke angeschaut, wo jeder seinen Charakter manifestieren wird. Und das schattet einfach hier diese Zeit oder diese Wegmarke dann hier voraus.
Are we following the repeating patterns? Right?
Können wir-
They're not different patterns, they're repeating patterns.
Können wir die wiederholenden Muster erkennen. Das sind keine unterschiedlichen Muster, das sind wiederholende Muster.
I tell you, brothers and sisters, if you're not taking the time to draw these things out, to prayerfully go through them and understand the relation of all the things, you're going to be deceived. I absolutely guarantee it.
Deswegen, liebe Geschwister, wir müssen wirklich Zeit nehmen, die Dinge also zeichnen und darüber nachdenken, gebetserfüllt. Ansonsten werden wir verführt werden.
And it's not that I know what's going to happen to any one of us. It's just Sister White says, only those that have a correct understanding of present truth will be kept from Satan's deceptions.
Also Ellen White sagt nämlich, nur diejenigen, die ein richtiges Verständnis der gegenwärtigen Wahrheit haben, werden vor Satans Täuschung bewahrt werden.
Right? And this is right upon us.
Und das hier ist unmittelbar jetzt vor uns.
Okay, so we'll close with those thoughts, but yesterday we were referring to this east wind. It's given us an illustration of Satan's kingdom.
Also gestern haben wir diesen Ostwind betrachtet und das gibt uns eine Darstellung von Satans Königreich.
Right, and they are typifying the punishment of the 7 last plagues.
Und sie schatten die Bestrafung der 7 letzten Plagen voraus.
But it's shown us through this illustration in Galatians chapter 4 who the children of Satan are.
Aber es
Right?
zeigt uns durch diese Beschreibung aus Galater 4, wer diese Kinder Satans sind.
They're the children of the flesh, and when they manifest themselves, it's the manifestation that you see in Isaiah 19.
Das sind die Kinder des Fleisches und wenn sie sich manifestieren, dann ist es letztendlich die Manifestation von Jesaja 19.
And when they manifest themselves, now they're ripe for destruction.
Und wenn sie sich aber manifestieren, dann sind sie auch reif für die Zerstörung.
So we're about to manifest right here whether we're ripe for destruction or whether we're ready to receive the law and enter into his kingdom in type.
Also wir werden hier manifestieren, ob wir reif für die Zerstörung sind oder ob wir reif sind, den Spätring zu erhalten und in das Land zu kehren im Typus.
Right? Because things are about to come about that's going to test our character, and we're going to show, do we really believe those promises, or are we going to turn and say, I never signed up for this?
Denn Dinge werden kommen, wo wir wirklich im Glauben geprüft werden, die dann zeigen werden, ob wir wirklich die Sachen glauben und den Charakter entwickelt haben, oder ob wir sagen werden, ich habe mich dafür nie eingetragen.
Okay, so these things have eternal consequences, and we must really think of it.
Diese Dinge, die haben ewige, sag ich mal, Tragweite und wir müssen da wirklich drüber nachdenken.
Okay, let's close.
Lass uns mit einem Abschlussgebet schließen.
Dear from heaven,
Lieber Vater im Himmel,
we want to thank you for the warnings you give us,
wir danken für deine Warnung, die du uns schenkst.
and we want to pray that we understand your word correctly.
Und wir bitten dich, dass du uns hilfst, dass wir dein Wort richtig verstehen.
Help us to be guided by it and everything.
Can you repeat this?
Help us to be guided by it in everything.
Hilf uns, in allen Dingen geführt zu werden.
And we pray that you would show us our relation to you.
Und dass du uns zeigst, in welcher Beziehung wir zu dir stehen.
Please show us what we must do.
Bitte zeige uns auch, was wir tun müssen.
And we pray that you help us to accept whatever you tell us.
Und ich bitte auch, dass du uns hilfst, dass wir akzeptieren mögen, was immer du uns auch sagen mögst.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesu Namen.
Amen.
Amen.